Hello friends! Today I'm happy to present to you a very interesting article of Michael Barnett and Martha Finnemore, The Politics, Power and Pathologies of International Organizations. In the past century, the number of international organizations has increased exponentially, and we have a variety of theories to explain why they have been created. Most of these theories explain international organization creation as a response to the problem of incomplete information, transaction costs, and welfare improvement for their members. What's interesting about this research is that it paid attention to how international organizations actually behave after they are created. Authors use constructivist approach to explain both the power of international organizations and their propensity for dysfunctional or pathological behavior. Rational legal authority that international organizations embody gives them power independent of the states that created them. International organizations use division of labor within themselves on the logic that because individuals have only so much time, knowledge and expertise, specialization will allow the organization to emulate a rational decision-making process. This is one of the virtues of bureaucracy, in that it provides a way of overcoming the limitations of individual rationality and knowledge by embedding those individuals in a structure that takes advantage of their competencies without having to rely on their weaknesses. International organizations exercise power as they constitute and construct the social world. Organizations may be created and supported for the reasons of legitimacy and normative fit rather than efficient output. And there it starts to be tricky, because in this circumstance successful performance is difficult to measure, since they are valued for what they represent rather than for what they do, and do not compete with other organizations on the basis of output. Basically, they are protected from selection and performance pressures. The folk wisdom about bureaucracies is that they are inefficient and unresponsive. Bureaucracies are infamous for creating and implementing policies that defy rational logic, for acting in ways that are at odds with their stated mission, and for refusing requests of and turning their backs on those to whom they are officially responsible. Authors analyzed numerous studies in sociology and anthropology on bureaucratic dysfunctions and came up with 5 mechanisms by which bureaucratic culture can breed pathologies in international organizations. Irrationality of rationalization. Weber recognized that the rationalization processes at which bureaucracies excelled could be taken to extremes and ultimately become irrational if the rules and procedures that enabled bureaucracies to do their jobs became ends in themselves. Rather than designing the most appropriate and efficient rules and procedures to accomplish their missions, bureaucracies often tailor their missions to fit the existing, well-known and comfortable rulebook. Bureaucratic universalism. A second source of pathology in international organizations derives from the fact that bureaucracies orchestrate numerous local contexts at once. Bureaucrats necessarily flatten diversity because they are supposed to generate universal rules that are by design inattentive to contextual and particularistic concerns. Part of the justification for this, of course, is the bureaucratic view that technical knowledge is transferable across circumstances. Sometimes this is a good assumption, but not always. Then particular circumstances are not appropriate to generalized knowledge being applied, the results can be disastrous. Normalization of deviance. Bureaucracies establish rules to provide a predictable response to environmental stimuli in ways that safeguard against decisions that might lead to accidents and faulty decisions. At times, however, bureaucracies make small, calculate deviations from established rules because of the new environmental or institutional developments, explicitly calculating that bending the rules in this instance does not create excessive risk of policy failure. Over time, these exceptions can become the rule. They become normal, not exceptions at all. They can become institutionalized to the point that deviance is normalized. The result of this process is that what at time might be weighted seriously and debated as a potentially unacceptable risk or dangerous procedure comes to be treated as normal at time. Indeed, because of the staff turnover, those making decisions at the later point in time might be unaware that the new routine behavior was ever viewed as risky or dangerous. Authors use the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster as an example of this phenomenon. Insulation. Organizations vary greatly in the degree to which they receive and process feedback from their environments about performance. Those insulated from such feedback often develop internal cultures and worldviews that do not promote the goals and expectations of those outside the organizations who created it and whom it serves. These distinctive worldviews can create the conditions of pathological behavior when parochial classification and categorization schemes come to define reality. How bureaucrats understand the world, such that they routinely ignore information that is essential to the accomplishment of their goals. Cultural contestation. Organizational coherence is an accomplishment rather than a given. Organizational control within a putative hierarchy is always incomplete, creating pockets of autonomy and political battles within the bureaucracy. This is partly a product of the fact that bureaucracies are organized around the principle of division of labor, and different divisions tend to be staffed by individuals who are experts in their assigned tasks. These different divisions may battle over budget or material resources, and so follow the bureaucratic politics model. But they may also clash because of distinct internal cultures that grow up inside different parts of the organization. Different segments of the organization may develop different ways of making sense of the world, experience different local environments, and receive different stimuli from outside. Attempts to reconcile competitive worldviews hierarchically are simply incomplete. Most organizations develop overlapping and contradictory sets of preference among subgroups. Thus, different groups representing different normative views will suggest different tasks and goals for the organization, resulting in a clash of competing perspectives that generates pathological tendencies. And there you have it, folks. See you soon.